Well, good evening everybody. Mikey Kung Pao back here again. So this was the day that the prosecution rested their rebuttal case. And what a rebuttal case it were. Excuse me a minute, my throat very sore. Let me have a little sip of this. By the way, did you know if I were to take this gun and shoot it through this water bottle here, and it made a hole going in and it left a hole coming out, do you know the bullet could do that and never pass through the water in between? It's magic. We're gonna find that out in today's case. Anyway, what were I saying? Oh, my throat very scratchy, excuse me. You know, I get allergies this time of year, really bad allergies, you know. It's all the pollen around here. In my area, all the little pollen. And you know what pollen is? It's like they're these little round balls and they got these little spikes all coming off of them, but they're microscopic. So they all get inside you and everything and create an immune system response. And you know, they're like thousands of little Jodi Ariases inside your body with little stabbing things, like stabbing everything. So your immune system get all worked up and make you feel like you're sick and you got a scratchy throat and all that kind of thing. You know, it's really crazy. You know, people are always telling you, oh, take vitamin C and take this and take that and take this herb, gonna boost your immune system, make you feel a lot better. And I go, boost my immune system? My immune system, what's causing all this? I want it to work worse, not better. Are you out of your mind? Learn something about medicine, okay? But anyway, you know how people are. They're not scientific minded. But I'm a rocket scientist, so I go crazy on that stuff. How did we get so far off the topic already? I just started. All right, anyway, let's keep going. What were we talking about? Oh, one thing that we're going to find out, a key thing today, is the bullet could not have been fired first. And we knew that already. I told you in my very first video, which YouTube took down because someone complained, because I used words in there that was the same words used in the testimony in open court and put on TV 870,000 times. But anyway, so we're going to be really careful now and make sure that they understand that when I say srut, that S-R-U-T. Okay, so anyway, one of the key things that we're going to find out is if Jodi had shot Travis first, like she claimed, he coming at her like a linebacker and all that crap, right? And she'd take the gun, right? And only her were a little girly gun, like I told you, a little 25 semi-auto, and she shoot him in the head, right? And she say that would happen before all the stabbing, right? But see, the ME come up today and say, look, the entrance wound here and the exit wound go through the skull, then go through the other part of the skull. Actually, from on top, it go through two parts. It go through the skull 1A, go out and latch down in the jaw, and the trajectory of that path can be easily calculated because it go straight from one hole to the other, right? And go right through the frontal lobe of his brain, the frontal lobe up here that some people don't have. But most of you do because you know that Jodi guilty. Anyway, so he say that no way, if that happened, he'd be incapacitated immediately. Within second, he fall to the floor. No way he could body slam her, chase her down the hall, do any of that other crap that she claimed, and then she'd go into a fog. So the last little bit of her defense completely destroyed. Every one of her eyes exposed, and we're going to see that in the crypts that we look at today. But I wanted to show you something. Because I'm so proud of Juan Martinez. Do you notice that no one complain about Juan Martinez anymore? All these talking heads before they were saying, oh, he's doing such a lousy job as a prosecutor, and he's gonna ruse, and we don't like his strategy, and he's too abrasive and too aggressive, and blah, 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 blah. Look what he's doing now. He's wrapping it all up, and I can't hardly wait for his summation, can you? Because I think that it's just going to be devastating to the defense. And it already is, because today he finished them off. Last little thing he finished off. Brew up all her biggest rise, the very heart of their case. Self-defense, impossible under the testimony and the evidence that we now have. Absolutely impossible. There's no way you could come up with a scenario like that, except in alternate universe where Aris Violet live and Dr. Samuel's guy. Okay, so, but I wanted to show you one thing. When I think, you know, I'm into geology, I told you that before, and when I think about the defense attorneys in this case, and I think about Juan Martinez, and the difference of the either darkness or beauty inside their soul, kind of like the difference between the darkness within Jodi Arias versus normal people who have rub and things inside them. It reminds me of things that I find on the beach. Okay, so here one thing I find on the beach. This is a rock, you know, and it kind of a jasper, but see, kind of a dull, kind of a dark sort of rock, you know. And if I take this little right, this bright right, put it behind there, you're not going to see nothing, are you? No, can't see nothing. Just, you know, just kind of a dull rock and everything. And that represent Jodi attorneys and all of her witnesses and herself. Now, on the other hand, with Juan Martinez and the people who tell the truth, like Dr. DeMarte, they're more like this one I find on the beach. And this is a very beautiful agate. And if we shine a light on it to illumine what's going on with them, do they have some beauty in them? Is there something other than just darkness? That's what we see. I'm going to show you. Okay? That's what we see. I think the camera ain't going to pick that up. But not going to pick up the color because that's a little bit too bright. Cuts the ambient right. But yeah, not going to quite do it. But if you could see this the way I see it, it's like a very pretty orange, you know, yellow, orangish, golden color. You know, it's sort of like the color inside them. So that's the kind of way I relate to it, you know, because my mind is a little strange, working in quirky little ways like that. So let's go look at some video clips, and then we come back and sum it up, okay? Alright, so let's dive right into a couple of yesterday's witnesses. As you can see, Jodi looking very distressed. I'm kind of happy to see that we don't see that same arrogant smirk on her face that we saw when she first started her testimony on the stand. How many weeks ago was that? I can't even remember. Probably a year or two ago. Anyway, but let's move on. This is Robert Brown, and he's a computer forensic guy. And let's see where he at. Get up here. See what he have to say.
The state calls Robert Brown.
You're going to talk about that
when you look at these
phone.
things, then do you go in and are you able to retrieve whatever data may be on there or images?
Yes.
With regard to this particular case, did you look at a heliophone?
I did.
And when you looked at that heliophone, were you able to develop some photographs?
Yes.
Yeah, he got some photographs out the heliophone that was given to Jodi by this guy. Remember this crazy looking guy, looking a little like Samuels? Okay, guess Circe did all kind of things for Jodi, and we don't want to think about why he did all them things for Jodi, do we? Okay, anyway, let's move on. And Jodi takes some picture of herself like she liked to do. Interesting thing about the heliophone is that it not only tells the date and time you took the picture, but because it's triangulating on cell tower, it kind of tells where you are. So I think Juan building up to something for his final summation.
Let me show you some photographs.
Where are them photos?
Okay.
Are you familiar with those?
Yes.
Are you the individual that was able to obtain them from the heliophone that you indicated previously?
Yes.
And there's some dates and times in the back. In terms of the date, what date were those photographs taken?
Tuesday, June 3rd, 2008.
Would that be the
All
day
of them
before
were
the
taken on that
murder?
particular date?
I think that would be before the murder. There, she taking picture of herself on the heliophone. Yep.
I want to show you Exhibit 452. See that?
Yes.
Lots of phone. She really liked to take picture of herself.
That phone, what time that is on the phone,
Are you talking
when you
to this
look
guy?
at that data, you...
Okay, we don't want to hear a testimony to a cross-examination from the NERMI, okay? Don't want to bore you to death. Let's move on to Detective Flores. Poor Detective Flores, you know, he sit there patiently for 4 months trying to stay awake. Now finally he get on the stand and say some important thing. And one of the important things we're going to hear him say is about the closet where Jodi claims she go and get that gun of Travis, which he never owned and never have, and really it was the gun that she stole from her grandparent house. So.
Yes, it was. And exhibit number 70, what are we looking at there?
The exact same closet.
And what date were these taken?
March 5th.
The spacings on the shelf, are they the same in these photographs as they are in photographs number 69 and 70?
Yes, they are.
And how do you know that they're in the same position? Did you actually move some shelves around and put them in that position?
When I returned to the address to look at the closet,
Okay, anyway, what he's saying is the shelves are 7 feet high, and if you step on them, they're just sitting on pins, you know, adjustable type shelf, flimsy thing, not attached to the sides. And if you push on one a little bit, it's going to collapse, and everything going to go flying on the floor. So I'm going to show you that in the other video they took down. I'm going to redo it and put it back up in a couple of days. But right now we move on and see what else going on here. And he also talked about how there were no bullets in the house, and there were no gun box, there were no gun cleaning kit, there were no holster, there were no any other thing, no evidence of a receipt that Travis ever owned a gun or have a gun. Everyone who ever talked to him say he never owned a gun. So we know the whole gun thing was a lie by Jodi. And one more lie get exposed today by Juan. But anyway, or that was yesterday. Let's see what's going on with the Wairika gang. And I think what we're going to see is they being, where did they being the usual inappropriate, having a nice party and everything, yucking it up, you know, because we're talking about all the terrible murder things going on. So they're being themselves, as always. Now, let's see, we talk about the shelf a little bit more, and
looking at the back corner of the shelves,
yeah,
And they are from top to bottom.
top to bottom.
And this is after you had reconfigured them to...
and now Jodi, you know, trying to look sad and everything, but she only sad for herself, really. Well, as we all know. Okay, what else we see? Then on Cross, they tried to trip Flores up on they couldn't ever find anything, any evidence of pedophilia or pornography or anything. So they tried to get him on a YouTube video of all things, and harder, faster type thing, faster, harder, something.
or the laptop belonging to Mr. Alexander on June 4th of 2008 in the early morning hours. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And there was something there about harder, faster, stronger. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Are you familiar with what that is?
Yes, I know what that is.
What is it?
It's actually a song from a European group, electronica group, and they've been around for a while, several years, and it's just a song and a video.
Yeah, which they were trying to make sound like it was something else. Everything about this entire defense case is either a deception or a lie, or an obfuscation, or some other kind of misreading thing, as you'll see from Wilmot in today's testimony. Anyway, let's move on. They're really disgusting, you know. Can't they put an honest defense up? And they didn't do any of that.
And have you had occasion to see the video or not?
Yes, I've seen the video.
And when you went back and measured this clock.
Boy, he just go on and on, don't he? And that way I always ask a question. In regards to, hey, and this lady back here, you know, that Jodi friend that doing the twittering all the time? See her back there? Is she trying to imitate Nermi? Because he usually looked like that when he's sitting in his chair all kicking back and everything. Anyway, Nermi's going to bore it to death, so we're going to move on and not listen to any more of him. What's next? Oh, I wanted to show you what was up here. I can't remember.
No, they were all movable.
Okay.
Yes.
All the
So you
shelves are
only had
movable,
those.
Nermi.
Yes.
Okay. Now, as it relates to
And it regards
this shelf here,
to, relates to, you know what? I gotta make a commitment to everybody today because I make way too many fat joke, right? And that's kind of low-hanging fruit, and you know, it gets old, it gets redundant, you know, it's kind of pure ire and everything. And so I'm not gonna make no fat joke today, but because if I were gonna make a fat joke, you know, what I'm gonna avoid is saying something like, you know, when they talk about muffin top and all that kind of thing. Do you see that broccoli there, and how it's shaped, you know, and then do you see this atomic bomb, a mushroom crowd? Okay, when they talk, if you look at those two things a little bit, and then you look at the Nermi, okay, if I were trying to make a joke about something, I might say there's some kind of resemblance there in what's going on here. But of course, I'm going to pass on that and not make any joke like that because it's in poor taste. Okay, now let's see. What other thing in the Snore Fest did Nermi talk about today? Yesterday, I should say, when he was bothering this Flores guy.
And you could have, right?
Yes.
Okay. And as it relates to this shelf here, we see here on the back wall.
Well, this is how desperate the defense is. Okay, Flores measured the top of the bookcase, because that's what Jodi said the gun was, hidden back there where no one could see it, up 7 feet high and pushed back. No possible way she could get to it without breaking the shelves or knocking them all down, getting everything to fry on the floor. Okay, but so Nermi, since he got nothing to do at all to impeach this testimony, he started asking this guy, did you measure this lower shelf? How about this lower shelf? How about this lower shelf? Spent 20 minutes asking him if he measured any shelf. Okay, that's how bad off they are.
See that one there?
Yes.
Did you measure that?
No, I did not.
Okay, we'll skip all the other 87 times he asked the same question. Hey, did you measure the spider web on the ceiling? Why not? How come you're so incompetent? Hey, did you measure how far up the shoes were apart from each other on the lower shelf? Hey, were they 1 inch or 1.5 inch? You don't know, do you? Okay, this is how desperate these poor guys are. Okay, I almost feel sorry for them, and almost at the key word. Okay, what else? We'll skip all the other ones. Oh, I want to show you a new Jodi face. Okay, and we're a site of Jodi observers here. We don't miss anything, so new Jodi face coming up. That we don't see before. She's going to become a fish. Watch this. Going to turn into a fish. Watch CroakerQueen. Okay. They're going to approach, and Jodi getting nervous about like a codfish. Did you see that? Okay, anyway, that's about all for today on this one, on this day, and we're going to go to part 2. Is there anything else on here? I think we're going to show you something way up here, but I don't remember what. Let's check and see. Oh, I know what it was. Flores come over and they start having a little conference there. And I managed to overhear what they were whispering to each other. Flores and, the prosecutor, Martinez. And what they were whispering to each other was, Flores was going, hey, why did that Nermi ask me like 800 questions about them shelves and how high each separate shelf was? And Martinez going, don't worry about that. He's only doing that to waste time because he can't ask you about your sex life or anything on this part. So let's look at part 2. Okay, here what I want you to notice is they're doing the usual sidebar and Jodi reading something, and look how bizarre this was. I don't know if anyone else noticed this. See how she's reading that book? I'll watch her for a few seconds, and what she's going to do is she's going to turn the whole book upside down and keep reading, which I found very strange. I mean, is it written upside down and right side up? Watch what she do. Now she turn it all around. Start reading that way. What the heck is that all about? Okay, it's so bizarre. Everything was chick drinking water upside down with her hand curled around backward. Anyway, that's just an original aside. And then I think she look at the bailiff pretty soon, kind of bored. She's totally bored here and going, hey, bailiff, where'd that part? Maybe we don't wait for it. But she wanted to go and maybe kick a dog or kick her mom or something, because she kept looking back there. And let's see, get the glasses on and see if I see a little better with them or without them, or with them halfway on or halfway off or up on my head. Then if we go up to the Wairika Club here, which we see many times, what do we see there? Oh, I say. I never see this one before. Maybe you guys missed it before. This girl here is a winner of the only hottie on the Wairika side of the aisle contest. Okay, so just wanted to point that out. And you women in the audience can say, look, Mikey Kung Pao, get it together, will you? Stop taking like that. Okay, then we got, we got the Nermi imitation again. See? Nermi imitation. I think she'd been watching him closely. Want to be maybe a defense attorney someday. defend some sex offender, right? Normie do, you know. And what else we got going on? Jodi still bored out of her mind and dressed in black, color of her heart, color of her soul, very appropriate color for her. And she's looking around going, again, you know, I want to go kick a dog or something. Anyway, I think we should move on to today's testimony. Looking back there again. So what we're going to see in today's testimony is the final destruction of Jodi's defense case, because the ME come back, Dr. Kevin Horn, and show how her entire murder day story be impossible. And his testimony was so key, just the last nail in her coffin, so to speak. Let's see what she's doing. I think she did another big, remember I showed you that new expression a minute ago? I think she'd do that again, the new fish expression, because she's feeling sick now. No, she destroyed. Yep, brewing some bubbles, rolling it around, gulp some air, mup, 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 mup. Oh, there's her tongue. Okay, anyway, enough of that. That getting old. But you'll be watching for it all the time, I hope. Anyway, let's see. Okay, Wairika fan. Oh, what's she doing? She go, hey, you think this scratch on me right here, you think this little scratch were bigger than the scratch Jodi put on herself in jail when she says she tried to commit suicide, but it too painful and just too horrible to contemplate? And, you know, that's the usual thing for them. Now, Dr. Kenneth Horn, very sharp ME, and let's see what he have to say today. Boy, this was just brutal to the
Pat on Mr. Alexander,
pretty loud.
if it had been the first injury to his body.
It passed through the front of the right side of his skull and would have injured the right frontal lobe of his brain and would have been very rapidly incapacitating.
When you say very rapidly incapacitating, what does that mean if you, to those of us that are not in the medical profession? Would he have gone down? Would he have stood there? Would he have crawled? What would have happened?
He may have been able to take a step or two, probably would have collapsed or lost consciousness within seconds.
Okay, the thing is, as we said in the very first video I made, which again I will try to re-put up after I edit out the objectionable parts, is that the gunshot did not come first, like Jodi said. Her whole story made up. She actually launched a surprise knife attack on Travis. Either when his back would turn and he turned around, she launched it into his chest, something along those lines. First 3 or 4 stabs to the chest had the fatal blow. He expiated some blood into the sink and then tried to get away from her down the hall. She kept stabbing him. The gunshot came last, way later. Anyway, what this guy explained is the entry wound in the skull, there's an exit wound in the skull. There's a straight line between the two, went right through the frontal lobe of his brain. No way he could function after that. He would collapse and not be able to do anything else. So all these other theories and all these stupid things people say and send me, you know, oh, the gunshot came first. It's just complete nonsense. Anyway, let's see what he has to say about it, though. A couple defensive wounds. It shows that Travis never tried to attack her. He just tried to defend himself a little bit, but losing blood really fast. She got one into the heart, and just a few seconds he lived after that.
And as a result of this particular injury, if this was the first injury, would he have been able, after 2 seconds, to attempt to hold on to somebody, whoever may have been there, for example, the defendant? Would he have been able to do that had that been the first event or the first
body
injury?
I don't
slam.
believe so, no.
No.
Why not?
Again, because of the injury, it's not just the passage of the projectile through the brain, but it's also the shock wave of the projectile passing through with velocity and injuring that structure. So it would have been neurologic shock, incapacitation, unconsciousness.
After this had happened, would he have been able to, let's say after more than the 2 seconds that you've indicated, would he have any knowledge or would
Sit
he
up,
be
Mary.
cognizant of his surroundings such that
Get that
he
finger
would
out of your
have
nose, you
been
idiot.
able to
God, disgusting
attempt
guy.
to defend himself?
Speculation? That's not speculation.
so.
Okay, you're gonna.
Exhibit
Move
175,
on.
what are we looking at there?
Again, the back of the right hand.
Do we see any injuries there?
No.
Exhibit 176, what do we see here?
Palm of the right hand.
And do we see any injuries there?
I don't see any now.
I hope Travis' brother can survive a
And
little
exhibit
longer.
number 177 finally.
He wants to commit murder
What are we
himself.
looking at
I
there?
don't blame
There's
him.
another view of the right hand showing the tip of the thumb, and there is an inside injury of the thumb.
And this would be right here, correct?
Yes.
And is this something that you've termed previously as a defensive wound?
Yeah.
Yes, it's consistent with
And
that.
Jodi
And what
got
does
no
that mean
injury
to
on
be a
her.
defensive wound?
Okay, let's move
That
on.
means that the,
Let's move on to
And would
Will.
you characterize many of them have dealt with gunshot wounds?
Okay, we're going to move on to Willermont's Cross and show you just how desperate and destroyed the defense is. A ridiculous thing she was saying today about how, oh, maybe there were an exit hole and an entry hole, and it have to be a line in between them where the bullet passed through, but you can't prove that, can you? I mean, those holes just came out of nowhere. They just material. I mean, it's just so absurd. Her brain would decompose, and so it won't firm anymore, and she's trying to make a big deal out of it. That show how bad. She did a lot of stumbling today, too. She was really not on her game at all. Of course, she had nothing to work with. I'm going to show you a couple of them clips.
yes.
And in dealing with gunshot wounds, you're familiar then with a 25 caliber weapon being a lower caliber weapon, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And
high
the,
caliber
it
enough to
didn't
put a
have
hole in
enough
his
velocity
head.
to even make it an exit wound, right?
Right.
Oh, there they were talking about exiting the body. But hey, first the thing went through his skull, and then the other side of his skull. So, you know, and then down into his jaw, and then it stopped, okay? So that's ridiculous to say it didn't have enough veracity. Had enough veracity to go right through the frontal lobe of his brain, through two skull walls, and then lodge in the jaw. 38 caliber would do the same thing and has many times, okay?
And there was,
Listen to her stumbling. Just don't know what to do today. There was a...
if we assume that the gunshot wound was the first wound that was inflicted, okay? You would agree that it would not be immediately fatal, right?
Bad assumption since it's impossible. Let's move on. Watch her stumbling again.
Isn't it? Well, you're aware that Detective Flores said that
but,
you told him the bullet wound was not immediately incapacitating.
Yes, and I changed the testimony immediately back then.
I don't recall that, no.
Okay, what's this?
Testimony in the testimony, yes.
So it was a mistake.
It was a misstatement, yes.
Okay. And when you make a misstatement, do you recall talking about the
Okay, she tried to make a big deal that when he was up there before, he said it would have been immediately fatal. Oh no, I mean incapacitating. Okay, and she trying to make a huge deal out of that because she trying to cut off the part where he corrected himself from the testimony. Just like everything they do, she taking it out of context, one sentence. Like they take Travis' email out of context. Hey, didn't he say he went to have sex with you in a dirty way? And then they leave out all the part where she's saying, come over and have dirty sex with me, Travis. This defense is so misreading. That's all they can do. They got nothing else. Almost feel sorry. Don't feel
fact that
sorry.
the brain was liquefied?
Softened, yes.
Okay, well, do you remember telling this jury last time you testified that it was
Softened.
So you were able to tell all of that in the brain that you were able to section off or cut sections off.
I was able to state that the brain is decomposed and it limits the examination, but because of where the holes in the skull are, the brain has to have been injured. But I can't see the
What,
track
Jodi
through the
now?
brain now because of the decomposition.
Jodi paying close
Right,
attention.
and so
all of a sudden.
basically you're hypothesizing, aren't you? Because the holes in the skull, you're guessing that the bullet went through the brain, right?
It had to have gone through the brain. It's simple geometry.
Okay, but simple geometry doesn't tell you exactly where it went, right?
I know where it went. It went right through the frontal lobe of the brain.
See, that's just how bad she is. Oh, but couldn't the bullet have like gone through the entrance hole and then maybe vanished and then reappeared on the other side of the skull and then exited without ever going through the frontal lobe? I mean, how desperate do you have to be? I want to stick a fork. See this? I want to stick a fork in my eye. Listen to all this stuff. Okay, let's keep going.
Because there are
Exactly.
two holes in the skull and there's brain in between. Just because I can't see the track now doesn't mean that the bullet didn't pass through that spot.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. What I'm asking you though is the fact that you can't tell us exactly where it went through the brain, right? Because you see no damage in the brain that tells you that.
Right.
can't
Because of
see
decomposition now, I cannot see a wound track through the brain.
He said that about like 87 times to her, but she couldn't get it through her thick skull. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. Frontal lobe, back to the recross.
Okay, and so you have, and there's, even though there was decomposition, it was enough for you.
Back to redirect, I should say.
Well, certainly altered consciousness and lack of purposeful action, so within seconds.
And you indicated or were asked about the track of the bullet that may have gone through the brain. And you mentioned something about the frontal lobe. What is it that the frontal lobe does with regard to the body or the individual, and what are the consequences of having a bullet rip through it?
Well, it's a center of judgment, it's higher functions of the brain, it's motivation, things of that nature. And just because the bullet is passing through the frontal lobe, it doesn't imply that that's the only part that it would affect, because...
You know, if the frontal lobe does all those things, higher functioning and cognitive and intelligence and purpose, I was just thinking to myself, I wonder if this person here don't have frontal lobes. You think that possible? Because she didn't seem to exercise any of those things. No higher function and no intelligence and no logic and no reason and no rationality and no connection to reality. So anyway, that's just a little aside. Keep going. I don't want to be mean, except to Violette. To her, she should be mean. People should be mean all the time.
There is a shock wave associated with that projectile, so it's going to affect other parts of the brain
Yeah,
as
go
well.
ahead and hide,
So when
Jodi.
you say
You can-
It passed across the right frontal lobe. I do believe it passed through the right frontal lobe of the brain, from the skull, forehead, downward into the left cheek.
And was it, according to you, or in your opinion, was it...
Don't Jodi look like very sad today? We're going to discuss that a little bit in our crows, I think. But meanwhile, let's go on. The jury had some very good questions, but I think I'm going to skip them for sake of time. We'll just skip right up to where Juan does his final thing here.
Follow up from the state.
So with regard to the, here you were being asked about the sequencing of events and in terms of the bullet. If the bullet wound was the first wound that was received by Mr. Alexander, would it have been immediately incapacitating?
Yes,
And why would it have been incapacitating?
because of brain injury.
Okay, that's all we need to know. And Jodi going, I'm effed, okay? I'm effed. All my lies now have been exposed, including the biggest one of the day of the murder and what happened. Okay, so that's all we're going to do now. Go back to our crow. No, wait. We got some more. Hold on. All right, so you just see there how badly Wilmot was doing, how desperate she is and everything. But we always try to look for something good to say about somebody. So this is what I'm going to say about Wilmot. She have really nice teeth, don't you think? They're very white and very, you know. But the only thing is, she kind of, even though she have nice teeth, she remind me a little bit of the teeth on this specimen I have right here. I'm going to show you this one. And, you know, this one have nice teeth too, but that don't mean it's, you know, a really beautiful creature, do it? Okay, so I think you know what that creature is. Anyway, so what else? We got Juan. Okay, summing up, we see that Juan has completely destroyed the defense case in every way, and there's nothing really left now except that next Wednesday and Thursday, I think 2 days in a row, I'm not sure, but normally going to get up and do his rebuttal, no doubt, and we'll probably get to hear about threats and Shrihor wonders and things for a few hundred more time, and a lot of other off-topic stuff that mean nothing, and you know, all that kind of thing. You know, he'll be nitpicking about the height of shelves and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, we can sleep through all that, and what we're really looking forward to is Juan Martinez's final summation, which I believe happened next Friday, probably. And then when that happened, the jury going to get the case a week after next, I think, after the judge instruction and everything. And I hope the judge instruction to them is, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want you to pay close attention to the evidence, go back into the jury room, find Jodi guilty, and recommend the needle. And if you only take 10 minutes to do that, that's perfectly fine with me, because I think that's the way the judge's feeling right about now. Don't you think so? Anyway, she can't do that, but that's what she wanted to do if she could. What else we going to say? A couple of people asked me some things, and so just to wrap up sort of like Mikey Kung Pao business, I have to respond to them. Okay, one person say to me, I want to hear you say rascally rabbit. Did I say it just then? So I'm going to say it again to make sure I get it for them. Rascally rabbit, rascally rabbit. Are you happy now? Okay, did I say that in my accent? And now a whole bunch of other of you are going to send me things to say. I ain't going to do it. So forget about it. Okay. I know what you're thinking. Give me a bunch of tongue-tied stuff. Say this 10 times fast. Okay. I ain't going to do that. So forget about that. Okay. What are we going to say? We now know that Jodi is through. And she's going to be sad now instead of happy all the time. And that's why she's showing her sad face today. She's sad for herself. And now we're down to the basic thing that this all was about in the first place, which is this, of course. And by the way, the one thing I really need to tell you at the end of all my video, somebody tell me, don't go with no social pass. I'm going to do more video, by the way, this weekend, I think. We'll put my old one back up and one or two more things we didn't cover yet. Okay. Love you all. Take care. And now things getting exciting because soon somebody that we both know going to be convicted. And we've been waiting a long time for justice on this one, and Travis' family too. Okay. Bye-bye. No sociopath.